You went too far when I was the star in a lullaby. And every scar keep telling my heart we are over now. You can follow me through with all that is you. You are out of play. I'm over the stars and far away. My imagination leads the way. I'm letting the darkness fade away to a new horizon.
Aha, there it is.
A new horizon. Don't wanna slow, I'm done with the flow. Time for something new. Not looking back, 'cause I'm the new black, and you know it's true. You can follow me through with all that is you.
A New Horizon. That was the song there. Obviously, you can see my screen is all goofed up here, having to mess with it. MetaMentors, episode number, is this number 6 now? Is that right?
I think it is. Episode 6.
Facebook Horizons. The big question, we're getting into VR with Facebook Horizon. The big question, can you use the bathroom on Facebook Horizon with a VR? Is it possible? We're going to answer that question this morning. And but first, we're going to check on Rick and Morty, because they're going to actually give us a display of what that might look like if you actually had to plunger the toilet.
Boy, you can do it all in here, can't you?
VR, never even have to take it off. It was really pretty cool. This is like I've not watched Rick and Morty, but it's constantly coming up, so I realize I'm behind the curve like normal. But there was a ton of talk about how this role play or whatever fits right in with the actual show. Like you're one of the characters in it, I guess. But she ends up hurting herself here, but had to pour a whole bunch of. She's laughing because she's got to pour a whole bunch of wine into the toilet to make it work. So I don't, I guess the age-old mystery, the old age-old question of can you use the toilet with VR? Not sure what's going on in there. Is yet to be answered. We'll have to wait and see if that comes about later on. But so tune in for future episodes. Maybe you'll know if you can use the VR to use the toilet. But before we get into Facebook Horizons, Ben, why don't you give us our disclaimer? And there is a lot of news going on, breaking news even right now with the crypto in the world.
It is developing as we speak. Before we get started, you know the drill. Anything we say on here is for educational and entertainment purposes. Don't take anything we say as gospel. If you hear an idea on here that's good, feel free to discuss it with your financial team before you make any major decision. This is not financial advice. From that, we'll go straight over. If you want to click it over to my screen.
You bet.
All right. First things first, Russia has declared war on Ukraine. This is happening overnight, and it is developing as we're recording this. So the stock market as well as the crypto market is not quite in a free fall, but it is losing ground quickly. I think, right here at the top, $1.5 trillion market cap of the whole crypto industry. That's how much we've lost since they declared war last night. That's a lot of money. I started with the worst news possible. That sounds terrible. But as I was watching the news today, I was watching a guy and he said, the good news is it almost has nothing to do with the crypto market. And if you think if if something got hacked, if one of the major worlds got taken down, or if OpenSea, which did have a slight hack and had some people lose some stuff, if it was something major like that that was causing a $1.5 trillion slump, we'd be in bad shape. But as this does not pertain to the crypto industry at all, it doesn't slow down adoption. It doesn't slow down any of the companies that are currently working on metaverse projects or any other crypto projects. So this is basically, I'm going to get tired of saying this. This is basically a good time to buy crypto. Everything is down right now. Right now, the
buy the dip, as they
buy
say.
the dip. I think Bitcoin's down to 35,000. Ethereum's at 3,600, and the Crow coin from crypto.com, it's at 36 cents. So just to give you an idea, right now on February 24th, 2022, that's where the prices are at right now. The way it was told to me that put my mind at ease was, like I said, none of this has anything to do with the mass adoption that's going on throughout the world.
It's an emotional reaction, I think, is right.
100%. It's not due to anything in the crypto industry. So the price will rebound. It's just a matter of when. People are getting money out just to have money. People are doing all, depending on where you're at in the world, you're responding a different way. But this is not necessarily bad news, because a lot of these projects, it's not solely about the price of the coin, and it's not solely about the price of the stuff coming and going. It's about the mass adoption, and that is still growing. In fact, you're going to probably see in the next few weeks several different stories coming out of places like Ukraine, where they were able to get out with their crypto. It's so much easier to move a cryptocurrency than it is to move something from a standard bank. So
I fully expect to see a magnified version of what has happened to the truckers in Canada, where they shut down the GoFundMe, and then all of a sudden people started sending Bitcoin, and they could not stop that. The government or whoever tried to stop the movement of Bitcoin to these truckers to support them, and they could not get it done. I bet we see that magnified to people in Ukraine and the surrounding area as far as cryptocurrency getting donated to them.
I bet you're right. So not that there's any downplaying the horrible stuff that's going on over there, but what is looking like a travesty for everything, including the crypto market, will probably have some high points come from it in the next couple of weeks. So we've got that to look forward to. And on a little bit brighter note, one of the things that is making headlines like the last one, not as bad. Yeah, there we go. Elon Musk, and I think this is kind of old news, but there's been some changes. As of January 14th, he said he was accepting Dogecoin on his website, but now they're pricing it. They're pricing their merchandise. So like their toys and their whistles and their clothing, they're not pricing it in the USD equivalent of Dogecoin anymore. Now they're pricing it like a currency.
How much for his flamethrower? That's what I want.
I believe the flamethrower is sold out, but I think the Giga whistle was 120. He's selling a metal whistle that looks like the Cybertruck. I think it was 120 Dogecoin, which is crazy because that means regardless of what the price is, if the price dropped down to 7 cents or if it goes up to 50 cents, they are disconnecting themselves from any dollar, the US dollar, the Canadian dollar. They are actually using Dogecoin the way it's meant to be used, which is as a currency. And he's saying, if you give us this price of Dogecoin, so if you bought it when it was half a penny and now it's 14 cents, it doesn't matter what it is. It's still only 120 Dogecoin to buy that whistle. And that's definitely the first major. I mean, they've got to be the biggest website doing something like that. Most of them kind of price it in relation to the USD, but this is the first major one that it doesn't even have an equivalent price on there. So
it seems like with the early on cryptocurrency, the fluctuation there scared people, but I think a lot of people have come around to realize, what, this is secure. it actually works against inflation. And, oh, by the way, my own currency that I currently use, whether it's the dollar or whatever, is more erratic or more unpredictable or is losing ground more than cryptocurrency.
Right. Because you can look at it just in what the dollar can buy. And so 6 months ago, $1.50 could buy a gallon of gas, and now it's $4 for a gallon. That's just as erratic, if not more erratic, than a crypto. So
for sure,
pretty interesting route we're headed. And like everything else in the next few weeks, everything in this industry moves so fast. By the time we do episode 8, it'll be a whole new story to report on. And I love it.
Yeah. It just, as you and I have talked, we literally, if we could carve the time out and actually do enough research to bring value, we could make a video a day, more than a video a day, just trying to get, keeping our viewers and ourselves up to date with everything that's happening, whether it's a metaverse or the environment.
That's all I've got for news right now. There's obviously a ton going on, but the war in Ukraine is the big one, and it's developing. So by this time next week, it might be blown over or full blown. We won't know until then.
Yeah, it's scary stuff. But, like you mentioned, the market is down. And as much as I hate the reason for that being the case, as far as Ukraine being attacked and war, the opportunity is so big. So as an investor, I had a client of mine message me late last night and said, "Hey, are you watching the market and seeing what's happening?" And he asked me, "Are you buying?" And I said, "Well, I will be buying once I think it's hitting bottom and coming back up." Am I good enough to predict that? No, I'm not, but I'm going to do my best to wait and see where it rebounds. And, I think that's going to be some time. But like we mentioned, if supporters start funneling crypto over to Ukraine to help the citizens and surrounding there, we might see a rebound much quicker, because like we mentioned, this is an emotional reaction. The technology is moving faster and stronger than yesterday.
Right. And when you see real world usability, like the truckers in Canada and like this situation, this is why people are fed up and done with traditional finance, because the government can go in and say, turn that off. And it doesn't matter how much money you had, it's shut off. So crypto, it's nice. Again, we can't say it enough that we don't want to ever try to find just all the positives out of a war going on. Right. But there will be real world situations where crypto will prove itself a viable third option as far as money goes. So
big time. And what you're describing and leading right into Facebook's horizon is you're talking about fiat currency that is centralized. It's controlled by, most of the time, a single entity. You get into crypto and it's decentralized. It's controlled by, hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands, which makes it so much more viable. And we've talked about decentralization, and you're going to continue to hear it over and over and over again, because it's such an integral part of what is happening in this market with the metaverse, with Web3, all these things going on. John, unfortunately, I'm bashing centralization, but we're going right into Facebook Horizons, which is is centralized. It's owned by Facebook Horizon. This is not owned by the people in a decentralized manner. But there is some value, obviously, with this. It is Facebook. They're cutting edge. At least that's kind of how it's talked about for this. Although the more I got into this, it looked more to me like they're the behemoth that is having a hard time turning the ship. And I think you've given a good reference with that before. They're so big, it's hard for them to manipulate, where technology has allowed a lot of these smaller companies or these smaller projects to just move very quickly. And so if you don't know who Facebook is or what Facebook is about by this point, there's probably other channels you need to get started on. But so we know the story of Facebook, or at least what we're told. The story of VR is what VR and Facebook Horizons is where we're going to today. And so Facebook basically entered into the VR arena in 2014. They bought a company for $2 billion, which at the time was pretty much outrageous as far as what they thought the value of the company was. But clearly Facebook realized something was there. And so Since then, they have quietly acquired many VR companies, a lot, and it's almost unknown. And part of my research, I was coming across that the U.S. government doesn't even know how many they've acquired, and eventually are going to wake up to realize they might have a monopoly on VR. They clearly have the number one VR headset out right now with Oculus. And I didn't see any actual numbers on that, but from what I've heard, it's not even close. They're dominating the market with that. And so Facebook jumps full speed into it. In 2020, they form what's called Facebook Reality Labs. They basically employ 10,000 people that are fully dedicated to the VR development, which includes horizons within that Facebook Reality Labs. And so they are throwing not only money, but people drastically at this project, trying to get it out as fast as possible. And they finally have done that. It's actually out now, Facebook Horizons. And maybe it's, I don't know, maybe I'm just missing it, but I really haven't seen all that much about it. I'd never even heard about it until you brought it up, Ben, when we started this show. So to me, that they're almost behind the curve there. But I think they're doing something a little bit different there as far as what their virtual world or their metaverse is going to look like. So it appears to me that they're building more of as opposed to a video game or just interactions. It appears to me that they are building a platform where people can actually go in and purchase goods. Businesses that are already on Facebook that are maybe doing marketing with Facebook, like my realty business, or whether you're a retailer or whatever it is. It looks to me like they're trying to position that where you can have an actual virtual world that you can go into these stores, purchase stuff, so on and so forth, we're seeing that with other metaverses. But this seems to be, from what I can tell, their actual focus for this metaverse, which is, based on the detail and everything that they're putting into us. And their detail is really pretty exceptional. I mean, as much as freckles and light switches, it's pretty impressive what the detail of this is. But the fact of the matter is it appears they're behind the curve, even right, with all they've acquired. So as I got in here, Facebook being a centralized land or world, there's no actual lands per se to purchase. And this channel for us, as Ben and I have talked about many times, is about trying to, position yourself where you can make an actual return, a good investment, lack of better words, make some money on the metaverse. And so with Facebook, what that led to was you don't have lands that are available. You don't have some of these other things that we've looked at least as far as my side of the investigation. What you do have is rapid VR technology and opportunities for individuals, whether contractors or company, to come in and develop these worlds within Horizon. There's over the last bit of data I saw said over 1,000 worlds that have been created by these independent developers. So basically, you get an Oculus, you use and while we're here, Ben, could you pull up? I think it's the very first web link I sent you. Yeah, if you'll scroll down a little bit, you'll see some of the development. Go ahead and scroll down some more. There's
real quick. It's no longer called Facebook Horizon. They've switched their name. It is Horizon Worlds. They don't, because they've changed their name from Facebook. So it is Facebook's not in the title. It's Horizon Worlds. And what you're doing is creating the worlds. So
yes. And so show that video there. It's, it's just playing on its own, but you can see there's some actual individual developers on here. And when I say developer, it may not be someone with an education. This may be somebody that's never developed before or done anything like this before, but has an Oculus headset. And you can go on here and cooperate with some of these other developers to start creating these worlds. Now, there's been a ton of kickback on this with Facebook because basically in some of these other worlds, you can create something and then sell your world or your product or your wearable on these metaverses and make crypto. With Facebook, you can't do that. They created basically what they call a crowd fund, I think was the name of it here, creator fund. And it's $10 million. And you can go on there and create some worlds. And basically, you can win some competitions within this and make up to a $10,000 payout. that has been poo-pooed on a lot of people because they're saying, you guys are Metaverse, not Facebook, excuse me. You guys are Meta, and you're only setting aside $10 million. You've got thousands of people creating these worlds for you, and I can win up to $10,000. That's a joke. Interesting for a newbie like me that I could get on my kid's Oculus, go in here and start developing some of this and have a chance to win money. I did notice there's some other entities where, like, one individual had quoted that he had made like $6,400 in a month developing some of this stuff, but it wasn't, it was tied with Meta, but not totally. So point being, I think the real opportunity with this is not so much Meta or, Meta Horizons. It's the actual VR development and me being somebody that has no knowledge of being able to pick up an Oculus, put it on, and start developing some of these programs. And if you'll go to the second website there, scroll down, there's a second graph there. You're going to see one bar graph and then a second. There's some of the different VR headsets. Keep going. Too far. Up. There we go. That one there. So basically this article, and we'll add these links in our information, but it's showing you the sheer amount of market cap with VR, which we don't need to spend a lot of time here. I think anybody that's paying attention has seen that it's going, VR is a huge deal. I think what we don't maybe know is as a consumer or an investor is that VR isn't a thing. It is the thing, just like the metaverse. With the birth of metaverse and Web3 and all this stuff that's going on, VR is how we're going to be interacting on here very, very quickly. And it's already starting to happen. These major games, some of them we're going to go over, are being built around VR, which makes complete sense, because if you've put on a VR headset, you realize just how powerful it is. Me, somebody that doesn't do a lot of that, first time I put it on, I could not believe it and didn't want to take it off. I've talked to guys that around me, friends around me, that they put it on, they literally go out and buy an Oculus that day or the next day. Even one of my friends, Alex, he went out, bought one, and then his parents happened to be over the next night, who are in their 60s. They went out and bought two the day after they were there. It's that big of a deal. And if you've never worn one, you may not understand, but you put one on, it's incredible. So we're going to see massive growth here. And I think in this chart, it talks about this article is from a year or two ago, but it was talking about we're going to hit like a $215 billion market cap in VR by 2021. We were literally at like 4 billion a year ago or a couple years ago. So clearly this is an exploding market. So to me, the real potential is in VR and building an income or business around that, whether it's actually getting the Oculus and developing stuff that you can sell on the open market for, Web3, decentralization, metaverse, or if it's just getting on there and competing in some of these competitions, because Meta Horizons is not the only entity that's putting out these competitions. It's all over. So VR to me is where the opportunity is, not necessarily Facebook Horizons, although it is super cool. And if you do have a business, it's probably going to be somewhere you're going to want to be, because a lot of people are going to be on Horizons. There already is. So the more fun it gets, the more that are going to be on there. So go ahead and go, I think, to the next article. Yeah, here we go. So you can see up there, it's got Oculus for developers. This website is thick with information from beginners to immediate to probably individuals that don't need to even use this website because they know exactly what they're doing. But you can go on and learn about Unreal Engine and some of these major programs that you can download onto Oculus or link into and actually start developing and learning how to build some of these metaverses and worlds and stuff. So again, this is a link that we'll include on there. If you would go to one of the Facebook videos, or I keep saying Facebook, one of the Meta Horizon videos, there you go.
Yeah. This one was put out in 2019, so it was still called Facebook Horizon back then. It's not going to obviously be a big deal. Everybody knows what you talk about, whether you say Facebook or Horizon Worlds. But
yeah. That's what it's kind of. Yeah, go ahead and hit play. Go ahead and hit play. We'll kind of let that. Yeah, sorry, we got a little delay here. You can kind of see, and this commercial is pretty interesting. But as you can see, this is kind of like the building or the entity of just going in here and having fun. This is when it was first being introduced. So again, Horizons has been out there. They've been putting out either beta or now alpha for everybody for a couple years now, and just it really hasn't caught a ton of attention. And so that's, again, I think that to me, that's a massive company that's turning very slowly, that's not getting their it's not getting the attention. There's just kind of like we alluded to in the beginning, there's just too many good things coming out on a daily basis that I think folks are kind of moving beyond. And if you look at the statistics, the younger generations are not on Meta, Facebook. It's the older generations, which are usually a little bit slower to adopt. And in this case, VR, it might be one of them, although Alex's grandparents jumped right on board. So,
right.
Again, the opportunities in VR, just a couple other quick things. I'm wrapping up my part of it here, but there's a couple videos that I really wanted to show. Can you bring up the video of Luna? This is a video that an individual went through, basically got a grant to go through Oculus's Launchpad program. And they created this video here, or this, I guess it is a video. It's actually an interactive game, but it's also very much a story. And this really, I think the way this read to me is this Launchpad grant program through Oculus, through Meta, this video actually blew them away. I think that somebody could come on with almost no experience, use their equipment, and then actually create this story, this video, this interactive game. I guess, what do they call it? An RPG role play game. Is that right, Ben? So yes. To me, as being, a middle-aged man, what stuck out to me is my kids within this house have an Oculus. They have tech that I could put this on, and with enough education could create something like this on my own. And as you can see, the detail is pretty ridiculous. I don't know if he sold this or what he was looking to do with it, but I think this could be something you could sell, for quite a bit of crypto or whatever it is.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's obviously volume would be even greater. I'm kind of talking over it, but it's a short minute and a half, something like that. And definitely worth taking a look at if you're interested in getting into some of the VR stuff and doing some development and creativeness. Again, we're going to put some of these links below, especially for the Oculus development stuff, because there's a ton of stuff to get in there and start learning about some of these programs that actually allow you to create VR and scenarios and stories and games and so on and so forth. So I think it's really, really clear that we have just scratched the surface as far as VR gaming and VR development. And there's, as far as gaming and interaction, VR appears to be VR and AR, augmented reality, is the future of this. This is where it is headed.
Which Facebook also has a good grasp in, because it wasn't that long ago that they released their Ray-Ban AR glasses. Do you remember those?
I haven't even seen those.
Oh, yeah. Zuckerberg's got some AR glasses. They partnered with Ray-Bans for a good frame, but they've got a recordable. You can record your day-to-day stuff. They've also got it now if you're in a spot where they have augmented reality out in the real world, you can look through it with those glasses, and it's like the Google Glass, except the newer, better, more Facebooky version. But they look like pretty standard glasses, but you can actually record videos. It's got speakers in there, and it's got the augmented reality. So
yeah, I was listening to one just this week. I was listening to a major developer for a game, and they were asking him about VR and the clunkiness of the headset and stuff. And basically, he said, I think what everybody knows, hey, this is the entry. We are just starting in this. He said, I fully expect within a number of years, you're going to be in your living room, and if you decide you want to go sit on the beach in Bali, or go on a vacation to the hotel and sit on the beach in Bali, you're basically going to click a button or even just think it, and your living room is going to transform into the hotel of, a luxurious Bali hotel room. So this is just the beginning.
I think that was the Next Earth guy, one of the Next Earth CEOs, and he was saying that within 10 years he expected your living room to be like the holodeck on Star Trek.
That's
you walk
right.
in and you just, wherever
That's
you want to go. And that would be, and that was actually kind of how Zuckerberg presented it on his most recent talk about Facebook was when you put the headset on, you immediately start in your home in the metaverse, which he said you can be looking out the window to whatever you think is the most beautiful thing you can look at, whether it's mountains, whether you're up in the mountains, whether you're by the beach, whether you're in the desert. You kind of build your own world that is whatever you want. If you live in downtown Chicago and that's not for you, then when you put on your headset, you can instantly be at Ben Bay Beach in the Bahamas, living the good life. And there's so much potential. Exactly. Sipping.
Get your virgin body burned to death sipping on that. It's paradise.
Yes, with a little umbrella in there. The ability, I mean, the capabilities of these are awesome. And I feel like when I'm looking at the graphics, when you see this kind of graphics, it's not off-putting. I mean, because there's good stuff, but you want to get it as realistic as possible. And one of the things that Facebook is doing is the Facebook meeting places, which is like their Zoom office.
Yes.
And they said you can create your avatar, and then you're actually got the Oculus and it's pointed at you. So it's doing your facial expressions, but you can just roll out of bed and your avatar can look well presented for the day, and they're a little cartoonish, but it's very professional. And like he said, you can see the hand movements, you can see the facial expressions. And rather than go to a Zoom meeting where you've got your closet and your clothes stacked up behind you, you can have your avatar go to a meeting on the lunar lab with the rest of the people from your office. I think right now they said they can put up to 50 people in a meeting, which isn't really a meeting. That's like a lecture. I mean, you can have, a full-blown college class where everybody goes there. You're presented the way that you want to be presented. You don't have to get out of your pajamas to be in your full business suit, your business casual, and looking professional and appropriate. And that's one of the big things that they're really pushing. They've got games and stuff on Facebook Horizons, but the social aspect and the useful commercial aspect, they're really chasing down companies like Zoom.
That's exactly what I saw with it too. And it makes sense from that aspect, but again, a centralized entity. So you had, so you've got the gaming aspect again that, I'm very interested to see what you came up with here, because there was no way to buy lands and profit from that. So I'm interested to see what you came up with on your end, because it is a totally different platform from what I can see.
Yeah. And like everything right now, centralized banking, centralized metaverses, stuff like that, it's kind of a necessary evil, because you kind of get to watch them dump billions of dollars into it. And if something doesn't work, the next company has not invested, they can immediately go, well, let's spend $1 million on this that does work. So there's a lot of bad about centralized, I am looking forward to Facebook. I'm not looking forward to spending a lot of time in there, but it is nice watching somebody with the ability to jump in and take the initial beating, cut the route. I mean, it really is, because they're dumping. I mean, they've got 10,000 people working on the metaverse. They've changed everything in their company from social media to Meta.
Yes.
When I was looking it up, what they have on Wikipedia as known businesses that they have purchased, there's like 24 AI or VR, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, or virtual reality companies. And they have over 90 companies that they've bought since they first came in back in 2004, 2005. And whether or not they are directly tied to the metaverse, all of them are now under a company that has changed their name to Meta, that will at some way or another be tied. I mean, even the stuff that, they have medical stuff and they have glasses and they have, real life wearables, everything is going to be tied to the metaverse because they've just dumped so much money in there.
Yes.
So interesting. Go ahead.
No, yeah. It's like we've said from the very beginning, or kind of hinted on. You may not like this idea, but if you look at what's going on around, not just companies like Facebook literally changing their name to Meta, and by doing, they're not going into Meta and saying, hey, let's add this to our business. They're going into they changed their name to Meta. They're going into the metaverse and saying, forget everything else we've done. This is where everything is going. And so whether you like it or not, it's happening. And when you look at the surroundings, things that are going on around us, obviously the scares with COVID forcing people home, the cost of fuel going up. It's way high in Europe where you're at. If you don't have to travel to go to a meeting, especially if you're a salesperson and you're out around town most of the time anyways, this is a way you don't have to spend much gas, but can be there with somebody. And honestly, if I'm having a meeting with somebody or a real estate presentation, I don't want to look like the dude from Minecraft. I want to look like me as much as possible,
right.
Which is what Meta is probably accomplished more than anybody else. But it's not in the same, like you said, it's more of a commercial and social aspect.
Right. And Zuckerberg did have a video. I'm going to try to put that right up here where he's flipping through his closet. And it just depends on, if you're going to play a game, you might have, a robot style outfit. If you're going to actually go to a meeting for your company, then you've got a professional looking avatar. And if it's just you, or, you can have green hair or whatever you want to do, you can literally pick your person for whatever you're going to be doing that day. And I thought that was a really good, because there's going to be a lot of money in the initial commercial and business aspect for it. The reason Zoom went so popular during the coronavirus was because it was usable and it was needed immediately. The games will follow. There are a lot, Facebook's marketplace, Facebook's key demographic is not the 16-year-old gamer. That will follow later when the money goes that way. But right now, having a usable commercial aspect is going to be big news, but that brings people in.
Right.
And the entry, like we talked about with Axie last week, it costs quite a bit of money to get in, get your Axies and start playing. Facebook is minus the hardware, free to get in. You got to have a Facebook account, and then you got to have a VR headset, which they recommend now, the Oculus 2, Quest 2 VR, which it's about $300. So a brand new one, and there's already a secondary market, so you can get something much cheaper if you're looking on eBay or Facebook Marketplace. But $300 will get you a brand new one, and then you're in. And most of the virtual reality from any other one, even decentralized ones, will be able to use an Oculus 2. So it's not Facebook exclusive, but it does get people in the door for free experiencing this. And like you said, once people use it, then they're like, oh my gosh, they run out and get one. And that's the way it's going to work. You're going to have one of these and you're going to say, well, I don't know, I would never need to go to, Horizon Worlds. Yeah, I mean, I would never need to do that. I'm pretty happy right now. Until you walk into one of those worlds and they've got like a Pac-Man style game or something real simple, and you're sitting there and you're talking to your best friend who lives 4,500 miles away. You got your brother in there who's stationed across the world, and you're having a real, a genuine human contact experience, not anywhere near each other. You know what I mean? And that was the biggest thing. Was I'm kind of put off of Facebook just in general. So I felt like I went in with a chip on my shoulder, but I kept seeing things that I was like, well, that's pretty cool. Well, that's pretty cool. Like there was a lot of stuff that was pretty cool. And I think a lot of the cool parts are like you talked about, they're allowing users to come in and create their own stuff rather than
Right.
have Facebook drum it up and say, hold on, we'll make the bar that you guys can hang out. We'll make the dance club. You know what I mean? And then you have to go through all of the rigmarole for all of that. They have users that can come in. There was one called like the Bull Bar or something like that. And it was just like a little nightclub. And it's weird how looking at a screen, you can kind of get that feel of like a night out. You know, if you're sitting at your computer desk and you're sipping on your drink, and it felt really cool. I mean, I thought it was really a neat way to do that. Now they had other stuff like Facebook had, bars, parks, seasides, city squares. They had a comedy club. I am going to put a clip of that comedy club up because
I'd
you
like
can
to
tell.
see that.
Well, this is where I thought, oh yeah, this is why you don't want somebody like Facebook in charge, because as you're walking in the door, I'm not trying to offend anybody. As you're walking in, there's a giant sign that says no racial jokes, no sexual jokes, no profanity, no derogatory jokes, no gender-based jokes. Try to make everybody. I thought that's what I thought. I thought, have you never been to a comedy club at all? Like, I mean, that takes everything away from it that would be good. But then I thought, yeah, that's not. I mean, I wouldn't want to go to a comedy club because Facebook has to protect themselves. Anything that happens in there, they're responsible for. So I guess I understand it. But then I went into a karaoke bar and I thought, now that is a good idea, because you got your microphone hooked up, you're sitting in your pajamas, but you can have your robot outfit on and nobody knows it's you, but you can walk right up there and grab the microphone, sing whatever song you want. People can be in there listening to you. It's I feel like Facebook's got a real good grasp on the voices in, like actually knowing that you can hear people kind of whispering and talking, and you can hear, they've got a good distance. Like if they're across the room, you can barely hear them. If they're right next to you talking, you can hear them talk. So it feels like a club. You can walk off the stage and go walk up and say, hey, did you like my song? And they can tell you no right to your face, and it sounds right. And I thought that was real cool because I was watching one video where a guy was on a train and he was walking through and he was playing like a shuffleboard game, and these people came in and you could hear them talking and they were just having their own conversation. And I thought, that is so weird, because if you're playing any other game, if I'm playing you in Xbox, people can't just stroll through our game talking and playing their own game. You know what I mean? Like if you're doing a campaign in a video game, people don't just stroll through. And in fact, the girl came over and picked stuff up off of his table while he was playing shuffleboard, and the guy grabbed one and he's like, okay, well, they've taken over the table. So then he wanders off. But I thought, well, that could be a problem later. Yeah. That could be, because I mean, that's not cyberbullying, but it's just funny that they just came in and just basically wiped his table and started playing his game.
Yeah, you're talking about real life stuff that could happen virtually, and it's surprising to us, but that's where we're at, and it's just the beginning of it. So yeah, it's definitely rough in some areas. These metaverses have to figure some stuff out, but that's how you figure this out, is you got to roll it out and give it and play with it. And it's so cool to me that the way that they're rolling this out and figuring out is by the community. Like, hey, we've put this out. Here's the foundation of it. Get in here and do some stuff. Please let us know what you think, what's not working, and we'll fix it or try to make it better, or you make it better through these tools we provide to you.
And that is cool. Like you said, Facebook's getting the business for it right now, because they're basically saying, here's some stuff, create all of our content for free, and we'll let people come, and maybe you can win some money if enough people show up to it. And it's like, I get it. That's as long as people will do it, it's not a bad idea. But there are other companies, decentralized companies, that are watching this stuff, and they'll get in there and they'll play it, and they'll be like, what stinks about this is people can come in and mess with your game, and then they fix it. You know what I mean? And then they can do their own thing. There was one thing that I really just went, ugh, when I was watching somebody. They were playing a game. It was like a first-person style shooter, like uh, 007 or GoldenEye on the old N64. And
I
it was
forgot
pretty
about
blocky. It was pretty rough, but they were boop, boop, getting points. It was like a laser tag type of game. And apparently there was some sort of blue ball that was like what you were trying to get, like a capture the flag. Well, there was clearly a 7-year-old or a 5-year-old in there, and he wanted that ball, and he was just screaming the whole time. It sounded like a little kid was in your room screaming at you, and I thought, there's no way to shut that kid up because he's in the game. You know what I mean? Like, I thought it's cool that you can play in a deal like that, but I thought I would definitely, in a decentralized game, pick the option to where 18 and older, or, you know what I mean? I don't want to play the same game that a 5-year-old's playing because he just wanted that blue ball. And
Right.
anytime somebody grabbed it, he was screaming. And I thought, it's cool that you could do that, but there's a lot of stuff that you're going to find on Facebook. I feel like I'm just rambling now. There was a lot of stuff to watch. I'll put some links in the video below of some of these Horizon walkthroughs. So much cool stuff is happening that you could watch videos all day about it, but it'll be nice because, like I said, they're cutting the trail, and the people who come behind them will do it faster, better, be able to nip, they'll go, well, we won't have kids in here, or we'll do this, or we'll have where you can, if you're playing virtual pool, you don't want somebody to be able to walk into the club, knock all your balls in the hole, and then wander off. You know what I mean? Like, so they'll find ways.
I feel like that might make it better. That's more.
Well, then you get in a virtual pool fight, and you get kicked out of Facebook, and
can they ban me from a virtual bar forever? I mean,
it's interesting because who knows? I mean, I showed you the stuff. I'm not going to get into it. There was some stuff where there's already some basically cyberbullying going on in the metaverse, and I thought, just take your headset off. Like, come on, people. But it'll be interesting seeing the adaptation of the metaverse into the real world and where they're going to be drawing the lines. And I'll tell you, they're going to draw them a lot stricter on somewhere like Facebook than they will somewhere that's decentralized and ran by a DAO. So
yeah.
But that's about what I had for gameplay. It's interesting. There's a lot of cool things you can do. It looks like Nintendo Wii style graphics. It's pretty blocky, but it's a lot of work to make an entire fully submersive 360 degree world that you can move around and go everywhere. So that's understandable. That's all going to be, by this time next year, we're going to laugh about what it looks like right now. I mean, if you look at Pixar movies from the late 90s to Pixar, or Pixar movies from the early 2000s to Pixar movies now, the technology is going so fast. It's not even really an option to get hung up on that right now. If you're looking at the possibility and the potential of what's coming down the pipe, there's a lot to look forward to. And like we normally do in our videos, we normally give you $100 price point, a $1,000 and a $10,000 price point. Like you've pointed out, there's no land to be bought here. There's really no NFTs. You can get in and create stuff for free. There's one of the articles I saw said there's really no way to monetize this yet. There's always a way to monetize something if you looking outside the box. But as far as buying a coin, buying some property, buying some NFTs that are going to generate income, it's not there yet. So if you want to invest, if you watch this stuff like we do and go, oh my goodness, I got to get a piece of this, your option would be traditional finance. And luckily,
boring.
Facebook, it is, but Facebook owns 90 plus companies. So you don't have to invest in 90 plus companies. You can buy Meta, which is, stock ticker FB. And right now, because of everything that's going on, their all-time high was only a few months ago in August of 21 at $384. Right now, you can get it for 50% off. It is less than, and in fact, the market has opened since we've been recording, and I guarantee you it's more than 50% off because of what happened last night. But it was at $190. If you want to get a piece of Facebook, there has not been a better time in the last 12 months at least, but that'll get you into the door for centralized metaverse projects.
Yeah, or throw your kids Oculus on, or buy one for 300. Get in there and start doing some development of, and I think you hinted to it, and I don't know that I did a good enough job, but the Oculus is made by Meta or Facebook. It's owned by, but the
Right.
Oculus is being used by,
All of them.
Professional developers or complete amateurs to create all of these different things and then monetize those things that they're selling or competing. So Oculus on its own is its own tool to use, not just within Facebook Horizons, but just, in general, it's the VR headset to learn to start developing some of these things. And one of the things I notice is a lot of these programs that says no development experience needed. We will show you how to start doing these things. And of course, to get good, you got to, some are going to be better than others, but to get good, you got to get in there and start doing it. So to me, that's where that real opportunity is in VR and possibly development or somewhere within that aspect.
I would agree with that. Absolutely. One of the biggest and best things you can do if you're interested in the metaverse and you're looking at really taking advantage of something through Facebook, it would be get an Oculus or find somebody who has one and get comfortable. Get in there and start figuring out what works, what doesn't work, because if you get in there and you're like, what I hate about Facebook is this. Then when you see a project that doesn't do that or does something better, you could say, hey, that's what I'm talking about. You don't want to wait until everything's already ready to go. You don't want some 17-year-old with an Oculus telling you which one's better. Why don't you get one? Why don't you get involved? Try out some of these games and go, these games are all right, but they're pretty blocky. They're not great graphics. Then when you see something like next week's project, which is Illuvium, and we'll get into that, next week, Illuvium is, Axie said they wanted to be a AAA rated game. But when you compare, look at that. I mean, when you compare the graphics for what we've seen in Illuvium to any of these other projects, it is night and day. And it's like, well, if you like Facebook, if you like the usability, but you just want better graphics, Illuvium is next week, episode 7. That might be where you want to start putting your money, because they do have coins. They do have projects. Can you buy land in Illuvium yet?
I believe you can. I haven't made it that far. Obviously I was playing catch up this week. But yeah, I if I remember correctly, I think you can.
Look at this. Look at these graphics. This is like Hollywood movie style.
Yeah, it is absolutely incredible. It's like watching a movie than a video game. More a movie than a video game.
Yeah, absolutely. If it wasn't for the content, if it wasn't for the nature of the scenes, it would be looking at real life, know?
Yeah, it's
nice boots.
Yeah. This in Illuvium, again, it's a perspective thing. But when I first jumped into all of this, back in November, Illuvium was like, it was constantly being talked about. Is it, this, and it's because of this, graphics and amazement. I don't hear it as much now, although it does come up a lot. I don't hear it as much, but it's just because there's so much coming out or that's being developed and hyped. Right. But you watch this, and again, so how freaking amazing is this? And then don't forget, this is based on Web3 decentralization NFTs. So you purchase or build out these NFTs, and they are valuable, whether you keep them and they appreciate or you sell them. Like, you're literally playing this game, getting your own, either buying an NFT that's created by somebody else that's way advanced, or building your own and creating it. And maybe you keep it, maybe you sell it. Like, you are owning part of the game. How ridiculous is that? This is,
and the tagline is "Fight for ETH," which, I mean, is there a better reason to fight on a video game than for Ethereum? You know what I mean? Like,
no,
you're finally doing something for a reason, to get in there and spend some time playing these games and improving your skills and getting better at it for Ethereum. I mean, Ethereum, And look, I mean, I just love the gameplay. It just looks amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
I'll need you to send me this link to this little trailer here. Shoot that to me in the email.
Yeah, this is actually just this is the main website for
Okay, perfect.
Illuvium. It's right there at the top. So, yeah. So Illuvium next week, episode number 7, MetaMentors. It is going to be a really good one. As you can tell, we're getting back into the decentralization and opportunities to make some crypto and make some smart investments.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be more than just a card Pokemon game, which like Axie was. Hopefully, this is a playable, fun first-person game. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we'll find out. Obviously, it's not even out yet. They've just got the trailers and stuff. But to recap this week's episode, which is what we're supposed to be talking about, Facebook Horizons or Horizon Worlds now. A great game, a great world. It's fully playable right now. You can't buy any land on it. You can't buy a coin for it. It has no cryptocurrency. So if you want to invest in it, you got to do it traditionally through the Meta company, which is stock ticker FB. It's got a lot of commercial and gaming capabilities. Like I said, the Horizon Places or Spaces, whatever that was.
Yeah.
They said that's the direct competitor. That's the biggest competitor for a company like Zoom for web chats, web meetings, Zoom calls, and actual business use. So there's a lot to keep your eye on Horizon Worlds, but being centralized, it's not one that's going to get the rapid growth and expansion that you're going to see in some of these other projects. So,
yeah, agreed. All right. I think that's a good place to stop. We'll catch you on episode number 7, MetaMentors Illuvium. See you, Ben.
See you later, man.